Good evening. It's very, very good to be here tonight. I just want to say thank you to the Spiritual Life Committee and to whoever chose the speakers. It's truly humbling to be here with you tonight. I want to start out with a question. If you don't mind, close your eyes, put your head down if you have to. But I want to ask us all a question, so just close your eyes for a second. If you have ever doubted God in any shape, form, or fashion, please raise your hand. All right, open your eyes and look around. We're not in this alone. We've all doubted in some shape, form, or fashion. We've all maybe doubted the existence of God or maybe doubted the plan of God, but we all have been filled with doubt at some point in life. And for a long time, I kind of felt guilty about the very fact of feeling this doubt. Maybe you grew up and you were taught, don't doubt God. Don't doubt His plan. Don't doubt His purpose. Don't doubt. And so when I began to feel those feelings, I felt guilty for feeling it. But I think there's a fine line between doubting God and denying Him. And so tonight I want us to discuss this topic of how do I overcome doubt. Let's go to Matthew chapter 28. Matthew chapter 28. Right after the crucifixion scene, in chapter 28, we see the resurrection and the report of the guards, but I want us to pick up in verse 16. It says, "Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them." So they're about to see the resurrected Lord. They went exactly to where He commanded them to go. And notice verse 17. "And when they saw Him, they worshipped Him." Wow. What other response do we expect? The disciples see the guy they've been with for some 3 years. He's died, He's been buried, He's resurrected, and they worship Him. But then it says, not only did they worship Him, but some doubted. The very people who had seen Jesus perform the miracles, they saw Him raise Lazarus from the dead, they saw all these other things that He had done, they doubted, yet still. And then we flip forward to Acts chapter 1. Acts chapter 1 and verse 6. It says, "So when the disciples had come together, they asked Him, 'Lord, will You at this time restore the kingdom to Israel?'" Not only did the disciples doubt, but they were confused. They thought Jesus was going to come back and set up this earthly kingdom, and when He didn't, they were confused. So they doubted and they were confused. You ever been there? You've been confused at God's plan, what He wants you to do with life, why certain things are happening, why evil happens, what we're going to talk about in a second. You're not in this by yourself. Some of the greatest people who have ever walked the face of the planet have doubted. Some of the greatest people we see in this room tonight have doubted. Doubt is not always a bad thing. We think about Thomas. We think about Gideon and Sarah and Abraham and Moses and the Israelites in the wilderness. We could go on and on and on of people in the Bible who have doubted. And so from the very beginning, I want us to understand that great people doubt too. But now the question is, how do we deal with doubt? And I want to throw this out there for you tonight, is doubt will either polish your faith or doubt will demolish your faith. It will either polish it or it will demolish it. I wanted to illustrate it by telling you about me trying to learn to ski. I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and I have 2 older brothers, and we're very competitive. Basketball, sports, it doesn't matter. Whatever we do, we're going to be competitive. But there was one thing that I figured out that my brothers couldn't do that my dad could, and that was to ski. And so I said, "Dad, I want to learn to ski." He said, "Okay, your brothers hadn't ever done it." I said, "Exactly, that's why I want to try." And so we went out to the lake one day, and he was on the boat, I was in the water, and he said, "Son, do you want me to try to tell you how to do it?" And I said, "No, let me try to learn by myself." And so I get down in the water. I'd watched my dad do it for years. I put all my weight on my heels. I put the tip of the skis out of the water, put the rope in between the skis. And he said, "All right, son, I'm going to go on the count of 3. And so he said, 1, 2, 3, bang. Face in the water. So he came around. I got the rope again. He said, "Do you want me to tell you how to do it?" I said, "No, let me keep trying." And so bang, bang, bang. Face planted every time. And one thing that I learned is, and I'll never forget what he said, "Son, either you let me teach you how to ski or you're never going to learn." And so when we think about this concept of how do we overcome doubt, we must seek the Father's advice. James chapter 1 and verse 5 says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask it of God, who gives to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. We must seek the advice of the Father. And so I said, okay, Dad, teach me. And so he began to tell me the mechanics of it and what you needed to do and the weight ratio and all this stuff. And so I said, all right, I got it. So he gets back in the boat. He goes back and says, all right, on the count of 3, I'm going to go. 1, 2, 3, face plant. Time after time after time. And I began getting frustrated. I said, Dad, you told me how to do this. Why can I not do it? And he said, son, I know your problem. And there's this little thing in skiing. How many of you ski? Anybody? Water ski? A few people. Can you pull yourself up?
I used to be able to.
You used to be able to. But in order to ski, you must let the boat pull you up. Because your natural reaction is when the boat goes to try to pull yourself up, and it's not going to happen. You have to let the boat pull yourself up. And so, time after I'd fallen and fallen, my dad finally said, son, either you hold on and let the boat pull you up, or you let go and you're never going to learn to ski. Either you hold on and let the boat pull you up, or let go and you'll never learn to ski. And so that day I had a decision to make. Either I held on to the rope as tightly as I'd ever held on to it before and let the boat pull me up, or I let go and never learn to ski. And when we think about our Christian lives, in our life, if we truly want to overcome doubt, if we want to overcome this feeling of God, why? Either in these times we hold on to the Word tighter than we ever have before, or we let go. Those same people in Matthew chapter 28 and Acts chapter 1, what happens in Acts chapter 1 and verse 8? Jesus says to them, and you will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you, the same people who had doubted Jesus, the same people who were confused about his mission, he said, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all of Judea, and to the remotest parts of the earth. How did it happen? How did those people go from doubting Jesus to being the establishers of the early church? The book of Acts tells us a story. They held on. During persecution, they held on. During times of doubt, they held on. It didn't matter what situations were going on, they held on. Doubt will either polish your faith or it will demolish your faith. What's the difference? Holding on. In your life, if you've never doubted before, it's coming. If you have doubted before, there will probably be other times in life where you doubt certain situations. In those times in life, it'll either polish you and you will draw nearer to God than you ever have before, or it will demolish you. Will you choose to hold on?